Professor Maxime Schwartz, the French Chancellor, Mrs. Anne-Denis Blanchardon, Acting President, Professor Arthur Ellis, honorable guests, colleagues, friends, and fellow students, good morning. I'm Jian Lu, the Vice President of Research and Technology at City University of Hong Kong, and the facilitator for today's lecture. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all to today's lecture. We are very honored to have Professor Maxime Schwartz, former General Director of the Institute Pasteur at City University, to deliver a distinguished lecture. I'm sure we are all looking forward to his talk. The new infectious disease, where do they come from? Professor Schwartz is a molecular biologist specializing in bacteria. He obtained his doctorate degree from the Institute of Pasteur in 1967. He then spent 2 years as a postdoctoral student in the laboratory of James Weston at Harvard University before returning to the Institute Pasteur, where he remained for the most of his career. From 1975 to 1987, he directed the units of molecular genetics at the Institute Pasteur and became the scientific director of the institute from 1985 to 1987. He then became the general director, a position which he occupied for 12 years. Professor Schwartz was the scientific director of the French Food Safety Agency from 2001 to 2006, where the expert committee that he chaired advised the French government on the licensing of genetically modified organisms. Professor Schwartz has published more than 150 papers and several scientific books, including How the Coal Turned Made, which was translated in English, Japanese, Russian, and the Microbes of Man Who Will Win, and the Pasteur and his lieutenants. The Pasteur Institute, founded in 1987, is named after the famous French microbiologist Louis Pasteur, who, as you know, helped revolutionary modern medicine with discovery in the area of vaccination and pasteurization that have saved thousands of lives. The Institute is a French non-profit private foundation that has been at the forefront of the fighting infectious disease through research, teaching, public health initiative for more than a century. We hope our newly established School of Veterinary Medicine will be also considered in the year to become a major contributor to improving public health in the areas such as fighting infectious disease. As a leading global university, in collaboration with Cornell University, CTU aims to pursue the excellence in research and professional education and directly address the needs of society. So we hope our new school will eventually become one of the top international accredited veterinary schools in Asia and raising standard for animal health care and the teaching of the veterinary discipline in the region. So our goal is to set a high standard for public health, food safety, and animal welfare in Asia. Before we invite Professor Schwartz to deliver his lecture, may I invite our acting president, Professor Arthur Ellis, to say a few words. Professor Ellis, please.
Thank you, Jen. Ms. Denis Blanchardon, Professor Schwartz, distinguished guests, colleagues, and students, welcome to City University of Hong Kong. This talk is part of our Distinguished Lecture Series, and the Distinguished Lecture Series is designed to bring accomplished scholars to City U so that our students and staff and other friends of City U can hear about the latest research ideas. This is our 30th anniversary, and we've really had a feast of distinguished speakers. We're looking very much forward to Professor Schwartz's talk shortly. His topic is of widespread interest because new infectious diseases have the potential to impact all of us. The transmission of diseases between animals and humans is of particular interest here in Hong Kong, whereas you know the outbreak of SARS and avian flu have caused widespread alarm and concern. And as Lu Jin has said, the City U is seeking ways to boost an understanding of the myriad challenges to public health in Hong Kong and our region. I had the privilege in 2011 to represent City University of Hong Kong at a conference in Lyon, France. And the occasion of that conference was that it was the 250th anniversary of the very first veterinary school established in the world. It was really quite an event. And the conference was very helpful to us at City U as we were planning the School of Veterinary Medicine. And in March of this year, we officially established the school in partnership with Cornell, as Professor Lu Jin has said. In fact, he was a little too modest. He is our acting dean as we undertake a global search for the founding dean of the school. That's in process. In addition to offering world-class veterinary education and advanced training in animal medicine, one of the school's scholarly priorities is zoonotic infectious diseases, because we recognize this interconnectedness of human and animal health. It's a concept that's often referred to as One Health. We're confident that the establishment of the City U School of Veterinary Medicine in partnership with Cornell will enable Hong Kong to better defend itself against infectious diseases. So you see, Professor Schwartz, we are keenly interested in your topic and looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ellis. So may I now invite Mrs. Anne Denis Blanchardon, the Consul of France in Hong Kong and Macau, to give a welcome address. Mrs. Denis Blanchardon, please.
Hello, everybody. Dear Acting President of City University, dear Professor Ellis, dear Vice President for Research and Technology, Professor Jian Lu, dear Professor Philippe Siarlet, and dear Professor Schwartz, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased here on behalf of the Consul General of France and Macau in Hong Kong and Macau to be here and to have the privilege to be one of those introducing Professor Schwartz before his distinguished lecture. But first, I'd like to pay respect to the City University, which enabled the most prestigious French researchers to address a large and passionate audience here in Hong Kong. And I would particularly like to thank those who made these lectures possible. First, the City University of Hong Kong, which kindly hosts this event, and in particular the acting president, Professor Ellis, and Professor Philippe Siarlet, father of the lectures series. France-Hong Kong Distinguished Lectures have been initiated some 12 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, by City University of Hong Kong and Professor Jean Dercourt, perpetual secretary of the French Academy of Sciences, who actually mandated you, Professor Siarlet, in order to develop and strengthen the relations between the Hong Kong scientific community and the French Academy of Sciences. Since then, those lectures, those distinguished lectures, have been regularly organized by CTU, and we are proud to say that they welcomed very high-profile scientists, such as a very impressive list of big names. So first was Philippe Kurilski, professor in famous Collège de France in Paris in 2005 on neglected diseases. Second was Claude Cohen-Tanuji, who was 1997 Nobel Prize in Physics, who came here in 2006, 2007, and 2012, if I'm not mistaken. We also had Jean-Marie Laine, 1987 Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2007. We also had Jean-Christophe Yokos, awardee of the 1994 Fields Medal, also professor in Collège de France, Pierre Corvol, president of Collège de France, Albert Fer, Nobel Prize in Physics in 2007. We had Jean Salençon, president of the French Academy of Sciences, and very recently, one woman at last, Anne Chang, professor in Collège de France last October, who made a lecture called From Confucian Orthodoxy to Chinese Modernity. So maybe a little bit further from science that you usually have here. And lastly was Jean-François Bach, perpetual secretary of the French Academy of Sciences last November. All those conferences turned out to be very popular and honored by the presence of CTU president. Yesterday you had Professor Brechet's lecture, and this morning we'll have the pleasure to have Professor Schwartz's lecture. As you may know, 2014 is an important year, as we are celebrating the 120th anniversary of the plague bacillus discovery in Hong Kong by the Pasteur researcher Alexander Yersin. In fact, if I may recall a little bit of history, in 1894, Institut Pasteur in Paris and the French government asked Alexander Yersin to go to Hong Kong and to study this deadly epidemic that was going on at that time, coming from Mongolia. He succeeded to isolate the bacillus responsible for the disease, and this bacillus then became popular under the name of Yersinia pestis. This is the reason why, along with Institut Pasteur in Paris and the Hong Kong U Pasteur Pole in Hong Kong, we decided to celebrate this anniversary and to present an exhibition called Plagues, From the Plague to the New Emerging Infectious Disease, a tribute to Alexander Yersin and other life-saving heroes. That is actually going on in the Hong Kong Museum of Medical Sciences, and of course I would invite you to go and visit it. And also a series of lectures in collaboration with 3 major Hong Kong universities, Chinese U, Hong Kong U, and CTU, as we are here today. And I would like to thank those universities deeply for this very important collaboration. Dear Professor Schwartz, I'm not going to be longer anymore. You are a former director of Institut Pasteur in Paris, as Mr. Jien said, passionate about Louis Pasteur's life and his disciples, as everybody knows, because you just wrote a book called Pasteur et ses lieutenants. But who better than you could speak about Louis Pasteur, Alexander Yersin, and the new infectious diseases? You accepted to join us in Hong Kong to commemorate this anniversary, and I thank you very much. Dear Professor Schwartz, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.